how many of you were familiar with her, but she was the long-term principal at Lamar Elementary before it merged with Lee Elementary, and she opened Kettleson Elementary School, which is why she's very familiar with what happens when we don't have quality facilities to build and make sure that our kids are in there as well too. One of the major platform pieces that Alma is working on is one of the pieces that we also worked on in the state legislature, and that is making sure that all kids, regardless of whether they plan to go to a four-year college or want to go to community college or want to go straight to work out of high school, have an option that's available to them. And one of the pieces that she has put into our platform is to make sure that kids can get dual college credit, not only for academic classes, but also for career and technology classes. If they're going to get a license, whether it's the auto mechanics program so that they can work in that, they can actually get those credits from the community college as well too, to instill in them a love of learning and lifelong learning, so that, you know, many of our kids in the neighborhood and in District 1, they start off with responsibilities at a very young age, and their priority is they're not thinking as much about getting more through 4 years of school after they graduate, because they have kids they have to take care of already and families to take care of. We want to make sure that they have those options and can get involved in college, make sure that they have their licenses, and stay in school and high school and graduate, and then still say, you know what, you can get a good, decent job, good paying job here, but you can also think about going back to school later. Case in point is the apprenticeship programs. She received our endorsement, the Teachers Union endorsement, mainly because she was in support of the apprenticeship programs, whether it's, case in point is the electricians. For kids that were going in there, that they would come and work to get in the electrician's apprenticeship program, they would get dual credit for that. There's many programs that have been set up where they actually come out, they get a job as an apprentice electrician, move to journeyman, get their master's license, but many of my friends that have gone through the apprenticeship program also went back to school to get their electrical engineering degree. They were able to step through there because it gave them the option of working at $11 and $12 an hour when they got out of high school, instead of working at $6 an hour when they can't pay the things. So that's very important, because Alma sees it, we see it as an important key to stopping the dropout rate, to turning the dropout rate around and getting more kids completed through high school. Part of what we worked on in the legislative session is career and technology education. There was a law passed that talked about rigorous course of studies for CTE programs that required curriculum and competencies that lead to both academic and technical skill attainment, and that lead to industry-recognized license, credentials, certificates, or associate or baccalaureate degrees. So the state law that we worked on the last legislative session is aligning all of those courses up to make sure that when they take those courses and they're in high school, they get some type of certificate, some type of license. I was talking with a group of folks that like starting a law profession today, and they don't know how to run QuickBooks, to set up their billing, to do their invoicing accounts. Those are some very simple things that can be put into accounting classes in the career and technology. I spoke to the career and technology director today, is yes, we should run QuickBooks and programs that businesses need skilled workers with when they get out to, so that they can now compete for a job that may pay $9 or $10 an hour versus being stuck with menial low-wage work that starts off at the bottom. So Alma is all for that. That's part of the reason that she's in there. One of the other legislative pieces that we worked on is the Teachers Grading Authority, Senate Bill 2033. What was happening is there was people that were overriding the teachers' grades. They were changing the teachers' grades, which was already supposed to be in law that you could lose your certificate to teach if you were changing a teacher's grade. It was still happening. They were being forced to do it. Basically what that law then establishes is that the teacher cannot be required to assign a minimum grade without regard to the quality of the kids' work. One of the biggest problems that we were summing, their bosses were telling them, you have to pass them. You must pass them. And it wasn't based on what their work was. We want kids turning in quality work. We do not want them having excuses not to do what needs to be done, because it hurts them in the long run. In the law, though, is also added a provision if they don't do the work, that they get a failing grade, that they have an opportunity to make it up. Now, depending on what the reason why they've got a failing grade, they may not be able to make it may not be able to get 100, up to 100, but they can get to a certain level of passing grade based on the school's policy that they put into place. Adult education and workforce development, which these all align together. House Bill 1935 established Jobs and Education for Texans, the JET Fund, that provides grants to community colleges, public technical institutes, and nonprofit organizations that prepare low-income students for careers in emerging industries and high-demand occupations. Last 2 weeks ago, I was at a meeting of the Greater Houston Partnership, the Workforce Development Committee, and this is part of what we were talking about. Was they had the Houston Community College and others, the chair brought them in to talk about the programs they're putting together for green jobs. And this is part of the legislation that we wanted to get aligned with that, because we want to make sure that green jobs come into Houston. Part of it is revolving around the solar energy works and expanding Houston's hold on the energy industry so that it includes that stuff. So even if we're not doing it here, they're coming to us to look for the experience and expertise to put in panels in Arizona or wherever they're going to put them in. So that was part of the work that the partnership has put in place, and that we were making sure that we were aligning on the school district side and the community college side to make sure those programs are in there. And they presented based on House Bill 1935 the new programs that they're putting in place. So we're going to have options for kids that are coming out of school, especially the ones that are in good quality career and technology education programs. And the very last one, and this one really hit home for a lot of teachers and made a difference for what's doing, it's House Bill 3. Included it, and House Bill 3 is the huge bill that basically they dumped everything into. But part of what was in there was the limit on local testing. Last legislative session, we were able to work, we actually worked with Senator Shapiro, the chair of the Senate Education Committee, to get rid of the tax test in the high school level and replace it with end-of-course exams. Well, the second part that we worked on this time, and what I already said earlier, was there was a lot of partisan stuff that didn't get a lot of things passed. We were able to get this provision put into House Bill 3, which is basically the one education law they were really pushing to get passed, was that no more than 10% of the school's instructional days could be used for local district practice testing. We spent the last 2 or 3 years with most of our teachers having to, every 3 weeks, every 6 weeks, stop their teaching, give these tests that people were making in area offices that didn't even have any connection to the classroom anymore, may not have been what the teachers were teaching on. They're making up stuff to make up their job, handing it to the teachers and forcing them to spend all day testing with these kids. Some schools were doing it once a week. They were losing 20% of their instructional time per week and doing nothing but testing. So this one was it hit home for our teachers, and hopefully it will give them the opportunity to take back their classroom, work on making sure that they get the necessary time to do instruction and academic skills. I also left some of our newsletters, and this is usually for our members, but what it has in here is an article about other laws that were passed during the 81st legislative session. You can take a look at them as you want to receive copies. So, okay.